This wonderful doctor saved their legacy.
4 years ago, Shinji Aoba shocked not only the anime world, but the whole world as he lit KyoAni Studio
Oof,
1 on fire.
that's still-
it resulted in
that is a
36
day.
deaths and seriously injuring 30 others.
That is a day that I still won't forget. It was a horrible day in anime history.
There were many unsung heroes during that time, such as KyoAni President Tata.
He was a wonderful man.
The leadership voice of reason during
Yes,
that time of darkness.
absolutely.
Or the first responders that seized Alba 100
That
years
was
away
amazing.
from the studio attacks.
Yes, 'cause he
Amongst
wanted to
all
end
these
his own
different
life,
heroes,
yes.
Today I want to highlight the work of Dr. Takahiro Ueda, the doctor who saved Alba's life.
And that's a doctor who didn't have to do that. He's a doctor who could have just been like, screw this guy, he's evil.
The reason why Alba is standing trial today is because of the miraculous work of this one man.
Yes.
This is his story, the story beyond the raging fire. It's July 18, 2019 afternoon.
I still
Japanese
remember it
media
like it was
shares and
yesterday.
collected disbelief the horrors
still
of Alba's
do.
terrorist attack. An attack that took away both veteran anime legends like director Yasuhiro Takemoto or fresh out of college graduate Yuka Kazami.
And KyoAni
It
is
was an
such a
attack
wonderful
without reason,
studio.
and pure chaos ensued after. Dr. Ueda was based in Osaka's Kinki University Hospital, and he felt a deep calling to get involved. This was because he was a specialist in burn treatment, and many of the KyoAni victims were fighting for their lives against severe burn wounds.
And the thing is, what most people don't understand is severe burn wounds have like a 98% kill rate. They just, you cannot survive them. You just really can't.
Ueda reached out to all the hospitals in the region. He recounts telling everyone he has strong belief in his hospital's burn center. Please send us any victims of the KyoAni fires. We are here to help. Sadly, no one responded. But after 2 days, a hospital in Kyoto said
Because some people are just like, I can handle it, no worries.
that they had one patient they wanted to send. Dr. Ueda had an eerie feeling about this correspondence, but
He
he
kind of
told the
felt
Kyoto
something was
hospital
gonna
to send
happen.
the patient right away. And surely enough, Shinji Aoba shows up at the doors of his hospital. Many
The
things
kind
were
of guy
going
you don't
through
want to
Dr.
help.
Ueda's mind, but one thing was clear. I felt strongly for the sake of the victims and their families. I cannot let this person escape death.
What he
I
meant
never
is that
wavered in
he
this
can't make him die. He
determination.
can't let him
The
die.
doctor and his
He
team
can't
had
let
to
him
move
die.
fast. Alba had severe burns over 93% of his body and had a 2.53% chance of surviving.
Imagine that,
Ueda decided
very
to
little
proceed with
chance.
the latest burn treatment medical procedure. The procedure includes removing narcotic or dead body tissue
Holy
from
crap,
Alba's
that's
entire
insane.
body on 4 separate occasions.
That is
He then
insane amount of
proceeds to paste
removal.
in artificial material made out of collagen and other materials of Alba's body. The final step of the
Oh,
procedure
okay.
is
The
transplanting
reason why they do that is so that Alba's body doesn't reject anything that's being put in.
in the final layer of artificial culture of skin cells. This culture takes 3 weeks
Oh
to
my
mature,
goodness.
and saying that 3 weeks,
3
was
weeks?
a hurdle
It's
would be
pain.
a huge understatement. Dr. Ueda
He
and
could
his
die
team had
during
to
that time.
monitor Alba's body for the next 21 days as they had to fight against any infections and other last-minute measures. The doctor recounts this hell reality in his personal journal. Severe dizziness the moment I woke up. I couldn't get rid of the fatigue at all. My intercom kept ringing from the media trying to reach me. Hello? Is this where Takahiro Ueda lives?
And he didn't deserve that. I mean, the man was trying to save a other person's life, of course. And you don't deserve that kind of stress. And it'll cause PTSD.
This was only adding to my stress. Son of a bitch. Don't let him die. Thankfully, the amazing work
this
of
man
his
is
doctor led to
amazing.
Alba's conditions
He's absolutely
improving
amazing.
drastically. Then finally one day, Alba's voice came out. He thought he would never speak again, and he started to cry. He actually cried all day, even deep into the evening. I'm sure in response to all this, Ueda-san was insanely conflicted because on
Of
one
course.
hand he was fulfilling his medical duties of saving the
The
life
Hippocratic
of a
Oath,
patient, but on
absolutely.
the other hand, this weak, pitiful patient before him was a serial killer that took
Absolutely.
away many innocent
A lot
lives.
of innocent
In the
people
coming
died
days,
because of him.
Alba would speak on multiple occasions and he would keep saying that he has no allies around him.
Why
One
would
story
you?
that
You
kinda
killed a
made me
lot of
chuckle
people.
was on November 7, 2020.
Seriously.
Alba asked the doctor if he could be sent home. In response, Dr. Ueda retorted, "How are you even going to live if you can't even walk?"
Bro,
"No, I
bro, you can't even walk.
Okay, then move your legs. Alba couldn't move his legs and looked completely resigned.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't yet
The suspect finally gets transferred out
handle the man with one line. It's good to add a little bit of humor into that. I do like that.
of Ueda's hospital 10 months after the incident and gets formally arrested. As Alba was leaving the Osaka hospital,
course.
Dr. Ueda's only thoughts were, I think it's very important to make him repent or regret what he did. And I
Absolutely.
wonder if we
He
could
needs
hear
to
such
pay for what
words
he
from
did.
him. This is the site of Studio 1 in 2023. The studio building has been long cleared and is now surrounded by a fence. The news that kind of
For what I remember, from what I recall, they're going to make a memorial park. Instead of making another building, they're going to make that like a memorial park for the victims who died. Because it was very tragic, the deaths of these people. What ended up happening is since the smoke and fire came from the ground floor, a lot of people tried to move up in order to get away from it, but the doors were locked, so they ended up being trapped. And that was one of the big tragedies of the whole thing.
Broke my heart is that after 4 years, there are still several employees that are still receiving treatments for their burns and other injuries. That is low-key depressing because not only do these victims need to deal with mental and physical trauma, they also now got to deal with the heap of growing medical bills.
That's the thing, man. Every place you have some sort of bill.
Received $32.57 million in donations, and let's say conservatively,
yes, a lot of people donated. I did myself
to clear out Studio One's buildings and other business expenses. So with 69 victims, that's about $377,000.
That's assuming all these things are true.
Let's study a person with severe burn wounds covering 50% of their body, and they need to provide for a family of 4. According
in
to
Kyoto, in that
the
city.
Cost of burn victim hospital cares around the world. In a country with a 0.924 HDI score, aka Japan, the average cost for each 1% of body burnt is $3,780.
That's still a lot of money.
50 times
that is still a lot of money. Holy crap!
Medical bill of $185,448.
That's still a lot of money. Holy crap!
Family in Kyoto is $44,808, and in
that's
this
not too bad.
Return to work after burn injury states that majority of workers return to some form of work in 3.3 years. 44.
So they're barely starting to return to work. A lot of them.
3 equals 147,372 plus that medical calculation we did earlier of 185,448, which adds up to a grand total of 332,820.
Barely enough.
With each victim getting a $377,623 donation, that leaves you with $44,803.
That's not even that much. That's not a lot. Not medicines, therapy,
further medical expenses. But now let's look at the bigger issue on hand for each of these victims. Dead friends, lifelong trauma,
the PTSD, man.
Of Japanese media.
And yes, media always wants to know, how are you doing 4 years after? How are you doing 8 years after?
Osaka detention center one last time ahead of his trials. With a weary look on his face, the doctor reports that Aoba's physical body is fully stabilized and now further treatment is not needed.
Good.
Well,
yeah.
For the doctor,
I mean, freaking A.
Sheer mental pressure that was dropped on his shoulders. But as that thought crossed my mind,
man is an angel. Man is a hero for what he did. Because the person responsible for it didn't just get to leave this planet. They didn't just get to leave this plane. They have to pay for what they did. There has to be some closure for the families.
We cut to Ueda implementing the breakthrough medical procedure he gained from the Aoba operation.
And now others get to be saved.
Cultured skin cell procedure on the patient who is suffering from burn wounds across 95% of his body. We are then shown this beautiful clip of the same man who is now able to walk again after having 10 surgeries.
That is beautiful.
Ueda saves one more man. It then cuts to a young student running up to Dr. Ueda, and she tells him that she is going to become a paramedic after learning of his inspiring story. She wanted to be able to support and save patients who are being brought to the hospital. This is the first time the tired doctor's face lights up. Dr. Ueda,
of course,
was having trouble
he has a legacy
finding
now.
his words, but the KyoAni hero ends by saying, "This is my biggest accomplishment." At this following site, where 36 died, 33 victims injured, the people involved, their fates are now all interconnected as they are preparing for the final verdict of Aoba on January 25th, 2024.
It was still an emotional time. Not because I lost anybody, not because anything like that, but just empathetically thinking about all the people who still just being in that city, looking at those people, looking at working, because a lot of them are still working at KyoAni. A lot of them, it's their passion to do anime. It's their passion to do these things. It's, of course, the remembrance of the people who passed away, trying to keep that whole thing moving forward, but still living with the ghosts of the past, especially if you were in that building, if you just got out, if you had to struggle with the pain, all that stuff, it hits you. It does.
The heart goes out to both the victims, and especially the KyoAni staff members that passed in this tragic incident. All those beautiful animes that could have been. What an absolute shame. Beyond that raging fire from 2019, what truly remains?
And that's the thing. It's like all of the anime that could have been, all the stories that could have been told, all the families that could have been created, the families that have lost their loved ones, have that hole in their heart and have that hole in their life. That time, so people say time can heal all wounds, but there's still, I mean, everybody's, I think eventually is going to lose somebody, but anyone who has lost people in the past that have been really close, that's a hole that stays. That's a hole that doesn't leave you. That's a hole that, for better or for worse, you have that good experience of remembering the past times that they were there with you. But in a tragedy like this, that's always scarred and marred and marked by the negative situation that happened that made them leave. And of course, my heart goes to all those who did struggle with that, who still are struggling with that, who suffered through the many years of struggles and tribulations and trials and everything like that. Hopefully, Alba will pay for his crimes, and he won't be free anytime soon. I hope he won't have any of that freedom that he doesn't deserve. He honestly doesn't deserve any of it. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, this was a little bit darker one than normal, but I'm a very much an anime fan, and I wanted this story to be told. And the person who told it, I will have them linked down in the description below. They're a nice channel. They're a good channel. And of course, I don't want to take anything away from them. So I waited a couple days before I actually had put out this video as well, so that they can get as many views as they can. I'm not going to take anything from them. I'm a small channel. But, you know, just in case, I wanted to be cognizant of my effect on this as a reaction channel. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone here. Once again, of course, like and subscribe. This is the Mad Salvi saying I will see you all next time. Bye-bye!